back to the show. The fabulous Cynthia Nixon is getting raves on the big screen for a movie called A Quiet Passion and on Broadway for The Little Foxes. So please welcome the terrific Cynthia Nixon. So nice.
Thank you.
You're so
Thank
lovely.
you. It's spring. Aren't we all so happy it's spring?
Yes, we are.
Always.
And, you know, besides being such a wonderful actress, you're an advocate for good things. And one of the things is education, I know. And you recently wrote an article about Betsy DeVos, I believe.
Well, it was more about how Governor Cuomo is a little more like Betsy DeVos than we like to think that he is. Yes. Because I feel like this is a moment, you know, where our country is so polarized, and if the Republicans are really going to be Republicans, which they seem to be, the Democrats really have to be Democrats. And I've been involved in fighting for more equitable school funding across New York State and in New York City as well for 15 years, since my oldest child, Sam, who is now 20, started in kindergarten.
Wow. He's 20?
20-year-old, yes.
The baby's 20.
Yes.
But Betsy DeVos is basically against public schools.
Yes,
She's very much for privatizing schools.
Right, and I think that, that basically Governor Cuomo is shortchanging the children of New York State.
Why, is he against public schools also?
He's not against public schools, but he doesn't like to pay for them. So,
I just heard an amen. But I thought New York State was is the only state to have universal college that can be free.
well, I mean, that's another whole topic. We could call it universal college, but actually, I know there was excitement about it and it had some good things, but basically, it only affects families that earn between $75,000 and $125,000 a year.
Okay.
And it doesn't apply to people who go part-time, which means, you know, that they might have to work while they're there, or they don't graduate in 4 years, or they're dreamers.
There's a lot of fine print there.
There's a lot of fine print. As the New York Times, when they talked about it, they said, you know, free tuition, and then they put an asterisk by free.
So if we see Andrew Cuomo, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind.
And also we've got nine Democrats in the New York State Senate who are voting with the Republicans. So if you're going to be a Democrat and you believe in bread and butter Democratic issues like funding public schools, you know, you should do that. And not keep you know, you've got to fund the schools better and not keep siphoning off money for vouchers and charters.
But why do they want to make America dumb again, is what I want to know.
Well, we know why.
Let's talk a little bit about the business of show business. You turned 50 recently.
I turned 51 recently.
51?
Thank you.
You're stunning.
Last weekend, in fact.
Happy birthday!
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
I still have all the flowers in my house. They're sort of decaying at this point, and I don't want to throw them out.
And you recently talked a little bit about the roles that are available. You said that when you turned 50, the roles that were available to you changed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Earlier. I think when I turned about 45, of course, you could say it's distance from Sex and the City, perhaps, too. Okay. But I think basically when you're in your 30s and 40s and you're an actress, a lot of what you play is mothers of young children. And when you start aging out of that, the roles begin to be about you again, and they're more interesting than just being like, would you like some more juice, honey?
You said that with such pizzazz.
Thank you. I've said that line a lot of times.
You are really busy, though. You have this movie, and I got to see you on Tuesday in Little Foxes. Everyone must go see this.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, and everyone knows I have been raving about it. So you you're with Laura Linney, and you play sister-in-law.
Well, we sisters-in-law, right?
And you switch parts.
That's incredible.
Right.
I mean, how did that happen?
Well, that is because of the amazing Laura Linney, who was cast as Regina. And Regina is the leading role, and she's very beautiful and ruthless and complicated.
Regina when I
was Regina when you saw it. And then she has this sister-in-law, Bertie, who is a smaller part, but a really juicy part, who's kind of from the Old South and very feminine and very sweet and very alcoholic.
Yeah. And abused.
And abused, and a really juicy part. And so Laura said, I know I'm supposed to do Regina, she's the lead, but I've always wanted to do Bertie, and I always remember Cynthia Nixon wanted to do Regina. Why don't we both do both?
Wow.
That's incredible.
You stuck together.
She invited me to come play with her and be her other half.
In the original movie, Regina was played by Bette Davis.
Yes.
I don't think Betty would have played Bertie.
I don't think she would have shared. I don't think she would have let Joan Crawford.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Now, this isn't the first time that you've played two roles at once. When you were only 17 years old, Mike Nichols asked you to be in 2 Broadway plays that were running at the exact same time. How did you, most people can't comprehend one at that age. How did you do 2?
Right. Well, they weren't. I mean, it's a sort of a complicated story, but they were both out of town, and then one was off Broadway, and eventually they both wound up on Broadway next to each other. And he had also directed Whoopi Goldberg's one-woman show at that point, and we were all out with Whoopi one night, and the actress who'd been playing my part in one of these plays had to leave. And so I said, you know, Mike, I could do both of these. We've always joked about the way I'm in the first act of one and the second act of the other and the third act of the first one again. And he said, I'll call your agent tomorrow. That's a great idea.
Wait, were you joking when you said it?
No, I was not joking.
Okay.
Wow,
I like it.
Yeah, that's great.
So, from Broadway to the big screen, we know you're also starring in a movie that you're very passionate about called A Quiet Passion.
Yes,
You're getting
I'm very loudly passionate
overtly passionate about it. You're getting rave reviews. It's in select cities, out now, everybody. But it's a biopic about the life of poet Emily Dickinson, who was very reclusive, and a lot of people don't know that most of her poetry wasn't discovered until after her death. But why do you think it's taken this long to see a movie about her life?
Well, I think that a lot of people argue about what really happened in her life. She has all these love affairs, some with men, some with women. It's unclear whether they had a physical aspect or they were all, you know, longing across the table, as I am at Joy right now.
Should we restrain you?
So is my dad. It's fine.
Callback.
Yeah, but I think but also, as you said, she didn't leave the house for a long time, and then after that, she didn't even leave her room. So I think filmmakers have perhaps been daunted by how to dramatize that, but the fact of the matter is, her life was very, very dramatic, even though she rarely traveled outside of Amherst, Massachusetts, and then eventually not even outside of her front door.
Maybe she was a little claustrophobic or something.
I think she had some issues.
Agoraphobic.
I think she had some issues.
Don't we all, though?
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
What do you think about bondage? We were talking about it before. What's your opinion on it?
As your attorney, I would like to counsel you not to answer the question.
Don't answer the question.
Answer the question.
I think I'm going to pass.
Thank you.
All right. So the worst one at the table is still Jedediah. Thanks to Cynthia Nixon. A Quiet Passion is now playing in select cities. And you can see Cynthia in The Little Foxes on Broadway at the Samuel L. Friedman Theater. We'll be right back.